Elizabeth I of England by Maddox, Sophia, Jonathan, and Starr.
About Queen Elizabeth. She was born September 7th of 1533. She died March 24th of 1603. She had 7 siblings. She never got married and never had children and was known as the Virgin Queen.
Elizabeth I had an important role establishing the New World. She unified a Protestant England against the Catholic Spanish and defeated the Spanish Armada. Elizabeth I granted royal permission to 2 Englishmen to colonize America, and she flourished the economy and made England a world power.
Practices did the monarch put to help or hinder them? So Elizabeth used a system of patronage to rule the people of England. And the system of patronage was if they had friends or family or relatives, they put them as government jobs other than other people because it gave them more power. And then Elizabeth also brought in poor rate systems for the peasantry, which was mandatory to follow. And then, how did the monarch treat the peasants and nobility? Elizabeth viewed the nobility class as a threat to their power and preferred to keep the number of them small. What methods did the monarch use to consolidate power for herself? So, she used a system of patronage, and she used this to maintain loyalty and support from her subjects. And then, passage of a religious settlement act, which minimized the Catholic Protestant conflict. And the Religious Settlement Act was basically states that if you're related to someone from this period and back, then you can be crowned king or queen. But if you're not, or if you're married into royalty, then you cannot be the king or queen. And then, how did the monarch ensure her divine right to rule? And she ensured her divine right to rule by the divine right of kings and derived the right to rule directly from the will of God. So basically saying that her actions aren't accountable and God is saying her to do these things for her so they can't.
What were some significant territories gained or lost during Elizabeth I's reign? Who were allies and who were enemies? So she granted a charter to a group of London merchants for exclusive overseas trading rights with the East Indies. There was a massive swath of the globe extending from Africa's Cape of Good Hope eastward to Cape Horn in South America. There were 300 Africans that were captured, and they were sailed across the North Atlantic and exchanged for hides, ginger, and sugar. Her enemies were Mary, the Queen of Scots, which was two of the greatest. They were most legendary rivals in recorded history, although they never met. In one castle, there was Elizabeth, the childless virgin queen. She was labeled as bawdy, brilliant, tactical, and cynical. Her allies were Robert Dudley, Walter Raleigh, Francis Drake, and Robert Duvrex, as well as many prominent suitors, including many of the crown rulers of Europe and their heirs. And the Spanish Armada was defeated, gaining her the Armada land in Spain.
How did monarchs strengthen and weaken the nation ruled? Elizabeth unified a Protestant England against the Catholic Spanish and defeated the Spanish Armada in 1588. She was responsible for English exploration of the New World and the flourishing of the economy, making England a world power. Religious conflict was a major issue. Elizabeth's father, Henry VIII, had broken away from the Roman Catholic Church and started his own Church of England.
Queen Elizabeth strengthened England for when her rule was over. During her reign, Elizabeth unified a Protestant England against the Catholic Spanish and defeated the Spanish Armada in 1588. She was responsible for English exploration of the New World and the flourishing of the economy, making England a world power.